average teens until they fell in love. It began a puzzling transformation.
So if anybody's interested in buying my skull, they can get a pretty good price on it.
This is no movie stunt. These kids risk their lives daily, crossing a treacherous canyon on a rusty cable. A mind-numbing trance leads to superhuman acts of devotion.
I was not prepared for this.
Shoving anything they can grab through holes in their faces. Human pretzel Dan Smith can squeeze into the tightest spots. Now, he'll try to do it with this woman sharing his space.
Oh, no! Oh, my God.
She's blonde, beautiful, and about to dive into a breathtaking situation.
I'm a very trained athlete. I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of.
Unbelievable? Believe it on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Welcome, and step into the unbelievable realm of Ripley's. This first story is a love story. Boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, boy covers his body in permanent blue ink and grows horns on his head to express his love for girl. Then they live happily ever after. This is Ripley's, come on.
Heather was the daughter of an Army officer who spent her teenage years dreaming of one day becoming a marine biologist. Paul grew up in Seattle, Washington. He was studying to be a biochemist, but paid the rent as a sword swallower. When these two seemingly ordinary people met, their worlds collided, and nothing would ever be the same. They now call themselves Enigma and Katzen. He's the human puzzle with the horns, and she's the tiger lady. They are a couple so unusual you can't take your eyes off them.
I couldn't be just caught with some plain Jane.
He, at that time, was just a sword swallower and wanted to be fully tattooed. We both wanted to do that.
And when he said fully tattooed, he meant it.
I decided to improve my act by becoming a different color. I thought, hey, I could be a different color. How about, blue or something? That's cool.
When other tattoo artists declined to do the work, Heather came to the rescue.
My wife did all the lines and most of the blue, especially on my face.
Having a blue husband inspired Heather to create a new persona of her own.
I wanted something that was really highly stylized, but very cat-like.
The transformation came at a price. It was an agonizing ordeal for both of them.
Tattooing is a painful process.
When I'm being tattooed by Katzen, guess what? It hurts. When I got all the lines done, I was sucking on pillows and whatever else, anything I could jam down my throat to keep the screams from going throughout the house. I think that's really nice. The cool thing is that it doesn't wash off. Piercing and tattooing, and the pain that's involved with it, it's a kind of a cleansing of the soul in a way.
But the Enigma didn't stop at just piercings and tattoos.
The horns. Let me tell you about the horns. Right now, they're 5th generation Teflon. The next step is replace this Teflon with coral from the sea. Your body registers it as dead calcium, coats it, and replaces it with living calcium. And then you cut the skin off and sharpen them up. And then in 100 years after you're dead and buried, the scientists dig up your skull and the tabloids read Satan's skull found in desert while I'm just planning ahead.
Could you draw the horns on?
Oh, sure.
The only obstacle to Enigma's ultimate plan is the cost.
Coral is quite expensive. So if anybody's interested in buying my skull now, they can get a pretty good price on it.
But the two insist that they aren't just looking for attention. They're merely works of art in progress. To try and understand the meaning behind their appearance is, well, pointless.
It's just one part of me. It's just a facet of me. A much deeper part of me is the artist inside, and that's the person I'm trying to give to the world now through my art.
I'm a human experiment, psychologically speaking. A psychoanalysis of my work is totally ridiculous because you cannot psychoanalyze the work of an artist.
Did your parents ever tell you that they had to walk 5 miles a day through ice and snow, uphill both ways just to get to school? You know what? That's easy compared to one remote village where 8-year-olds practically have to be trained stuntmen just to get to class. Check it out.
Imagine living in a village where your only transportation in and out is by dangling from a steel cable strung 1,200 feet above a raging river. Well, meet little Daisy Mora, an 11-year-old girl who does exactly that. Twice a day, every day. Daisy and her family live in the tiny village of Los Piñas, located in the dense Colombian jungle. For the last 200 years, the people of this remote outpost have had only 2 connections to civilization: a treacherous 2-hour hike or a harrowing 1-minute ride across a half-mile canyon hanging from this primitive cable system. Ripley's is the first television program to document this terrifying crossing on camera. The system has 2 very steep one-way cables, one designed to take the travelers out of town and the other to bring them back. The villagers carry groceries, supplies, even pets. No one seems to know what the cable's weight limit is, but Daisy's father, Guillermo, says he won't carry more than 80 pounds. The heavier the load, the faster and riskier the ride. It's a delicate balancing act that could lead to a fatal fall. Unbelievably, despite an average of 60 people crossing the cables daily, no one has ever been seriously injured or killed. Everyone who crosses brings their own pulley, rope, and brake. Guillermo has taught his 3 small children some important tips on how to cross. Daisy knows it's clear to cross when the cable stops vibrating from the previous passenger. Despite her youth, she is also responsible for making sure her younger siblings complete the crossing safely. 9-year-old Jamid is the first to cross. While the sheer drop is enough to scare a grown man, he isn't afraid at all.
¿Te gusta la velocidad? ¿Mucho?
Sí, señor.
The routine is the same for everyone. Jamid first places the pulley's wheel on top of the steel cable. Then he wraps the tethered rope around his body to form a seat, looping the ends around hooks on the pulley. Then he swings into action. His brother, Jean-Freddy, is next. Finally, it's Daisy's turn. Hooking herself into the harness, she admits the crossing still makes her nervous. As Daisy plunges across the gorge, her tiny hands press the primitive wooden brake. Reaching speeds in excess of 30 miles per hour, the brake allows her to slow down before slamming into the tires, which serve as a buffer. The government has no plans to build a bridge here because they say there aren't enough people living in Los Piñas to justify its expense. That forces 8 children to rely on the rickety cables to go to school. As the kids return from school, they often carry supplies from town. And while Daisy makes her final crossing of the day, she knows she's carrying the most precious cargo of all. Believe it or not, her 7-year-old sister Claudia travels in the threadbare burlap bag Daisy carries every day.
Before the steel cables were installed, the villagers used to cross the canyon on a rope.
Still ahead, this shocking ritual pushes the boundaries of pain. But the skewering doesn't stop with swords.
They'll use things like radio antennas, lamps, umbrellas.
Plus, this guy's 83 years old and water skiing with his teeth.
I am a crazy nut, that's true.
And these abandoned baby squirrels were starving. Until Dharma the dog and Calisto the cat came to their rescue.
It's one great big happy animal family.
That's next. Stories you can't imagine, people you won't believe. Ripley's Believe It or Not.
By the time our golden years roll along, we've earned the right to put up our feet and relax. Well, somebody forgot to email that message to George Blair. He is an 80-something man who acts like 20-something. He water skis without skis, and he holds the tow rope with his teeth. And yes, they are still his real teeth.
George Blair can literally walk on water. He's the only 83-year-old in the world who can water ski without skis. And if you think that's incredible, he can do it with no hands.
I'm out there free as a bird with no skis on. That's why I'm doing this sport. It looks impossible.
At a time in his life when most people stop taking risks, George just keeps upping the stakes. He has water skied on all 7 continents, including Whalers Bay in Antarctica, where the water is a frigid 28 degrees. After falling from a train over 40 years ago, George was told that he would never walk again. He proved doctors wrong. Always wearing his signature color yellow, George continues to amaze everyone with his athleticism.
I do a lot of things. I am a confirmed snowboarder. I have 4 grandsons who snowboard with me. I'm a race car driver, a skydiver. I am a surfer. So I think life is just an endless line of interest for me because I cannot wait to do the next thing that I haven't done yet.
But what really makes George so unbelievable isn't just the barefoot skiing or even skiing only on one foot. At 40 miles an hour, the only thing keeping Banana George above water is his teeth.
I have strong teeth, but everybody has a strong jaw. But I'll put my neck up against anybody's neck. I am a crazy nut, that's true. I've been trying to slow down forever, but it never happened. I have no desire to do anything except keep on, and I will keep on as long as I possibly can.
Ripley's world of unbelievable animals.
Conventional wisdom says that dogs chase cats and cats chase squirrels. But this show has nothing to do with conventional wisdom.
Mother Nature never intended for cats and squirrels to get along. But believe it or not, this cat changed all that when she began nursing these baby squirrels like they were her own kittens. Their owner, Pepper Bonjour, really loves animals. Her house is full of critters, from fish to cats to her dog Dharma. In fact, Pepper was headed to the animal shelter to adopt another dog, but ended up adopting these rascals instead.
So in this box lays these 3 little squirrels, about the half size of my hand. She says, well, you did other animals. Well, do you want to try the squirrels? And I said, sure.
Unable to resist, Pepper brought home the 3 squirrels and began to bottle feed them. Then, during a feeding, Pepper noticed that one of the squirrels was gone. That's when Pepper saw her pregnant cat, Calisto, carrying one of the squirrels in her mouth.
Up the stairs she goes. In the corner of my son's room is the squirrel and a kitten she had just had.
What makes this tale even more incredible is what happened next. Dharma the dog, who wasn't even pregnant, got into the act. Dharma produced enough milk to nurse both the squirrels and the kittens.
That's another thing that's kind of unusual because Dharma hasn't had puppies and she dropped milk in one day. come around the corner and there she lays in the middle of the living room floor nursing the cat and the squirrel.
Pepper's veterinarian, Ken Fiedler, says a false pregnancy probably allowed Dharma to lactate.
When a dog goes out of heat, if that dog gets pregnant or if it does not get pregnant, it still is going to have the same hormonal changes in its body.
Soon the squirrels will be ready to leave the nest. Until then, Pepper is content to keep her upside-down animal menagerie just the way it is. Unbelievable.
Dharma nurses the cats and the squirrels. Callisto also nurses the cats and the squirrels. And it's one great big happy animal family.
A simple pierced ear used to be a statement of individuality. Then came the nose and eyebrow rings and, of course, the tongue thing. Well, these next guys make that stuff look easy.
There are thousands of religious denominations throughout the world, and they each have their own unique form of worship. But few spiritual denominations can match the startling display of what happens once a year here in Phuket, Thailand. These religious zealots impale their cheeks and tongues with objects that make Westerners shudder in disbelief.
It's a horrible thing to look at. I have a bit of weak feeling in my body today. I was not prepared for this.
It's something incredible. We have to see that. We have to see that in life. We only one time.
Each October, thousands of members of the Chinese ethnic community come here for the annual vegetarian festival. Followers give up meat and other pleasures during the 9-day celebration, but they also take things to the other extreme, marring themselves as an expression of their devotion. It's meant to symbolize a sacrifice to the gods who saved their ancestors from a malaria outbreak back in 1825. Part of the preparation for the ritual involves a period of meditation in which the participant calls on the aid of the deity. This meditation frequently leads to trance-like states that enable believers to perform unheard-of acts of faith. Walking on red-hot coals and climbing specially designed ladders made with razor-sharp edges are just a few of the feats performed here. Still, nothing can prepare visitors for the ritual of self-mutilation. This unimaginable part of the festival is gaining widespread notoriety due to the extravagant displays that take place in front of several of the temples in town. Festival organizers, wearing rubber gloves and using sterile instruments, actually assist some 600 believers who pierce their cheeks and tongues with an astonishing variety of objects. Everything from umbrellas to car antennas to lamps. Believe it or not, these self-inflicted acts cause minimal bleeding and miraculous healing within days. The vegetarian festival concludes with the whole community crossing over a bridge, confident the gods will bring them peace, harmony, and prosperity in the year ahead.
Coming up, two unbelievable athletes serve up a tennis match at 10,000 feet. Plus, can these human pretzels cram into this tiny box?
Oh, no! Oh, my God.
Also, the horse who shares this family's house and their food.
She loves mashed potatoes, she loves pasta.
And the dive that could leave this beauty trapped on the ocean floor. Her Titanic underwater challenge coming up on Ripley's. Ripley's Believe It or Not. We're all familiar with the game of tennis, but for Jason Hyder and Bally Hathaway, their favorite court isn't on the ground. It's thousands of feet in the air. They call this extreme sport sky tennis. At first, Jason and Bally are plunging down faster and faster, approaching speeds of more than 150 miles an hour. Once they've reached terminal velocity, the game begins. With the ball in free fall, Jason and Bally sometimes have to maneuver themselves in order to hit it. Sure, it's lighter, but since the ball has much less surface area, it meets less air resistance. So the ball and the players drop at about the same rate. Using basic parachuting techniques, they adjust their positions by lifting their arms and arching their bodies. Though they can't get much on their serves, they're pumping plenty of adrenaline. The only thing they're missing up there is a net.
The next time you fly, take a good look at the size of the luggage people bring on board. Now imagine squeezing yourself and a friend into a box the size of an airline overhead bin. You probably couldn't do it. But of course, Ripley's knows a couple of human pretzels who can.
When Daniel Browning Smith isn't hanging out with friends or doing his homework, you can find this 21-year-old San Francisco student doing some very unique things with his body.
I'm different because, just some people are stronger than others, some people are taller than others, some people are shorter than others. I'm more flexible than others.
At the tender age of 4, Daniel discovered that he had multiple double joints. Daniel's dad encouraged his son to explore his unusual abilities.
So he went to the library, got some pictures of contortionists and brought them home. I sat there and tried to do what was in picture until I could, so it became like my hobby. And that was like the spawning of my dream, that I wanted to be a contortionist.
This leg's out, right leg's out, yes.
Although some of his skill is genetic, Daniel works long and hard to perfect his talent.
I tried to work 6 days a week, 6 hours a day until I can't go anymore.
Daniel can perform extraordinary tricks, like standing on his hands while bending over backwards. Backwards is also the way he prefers to do his sit-ups. No matter how difficult these moves may look, Daniel says none of them are painful.
I don't do things that hurt. I mean, I put myself in situations that feel different, but it doesn't hurt.
To illustrate his body-bending abilities, Daniel wedges himself into a box that is only 30 inches long, 20 inches wide, and 21 inches deep.
And I try to bend this way and that way, and I'm kind of forced into this structure.
As incredible as this may be, Daniel is now going to try to work with half the space. He'll attempt to cram into the same box, but this time, he'll have to do it with another person inside, contortionist Otko Waller. Otko grew up in Mongolia, where acrobatics are a national pastime.
I went to contortion school. I was 8. Usually it takes like 3 to 4 years for girls to graduate at school. But I learned very quickly, so I graduated like a year and a half.
Daniel and Otko are now about to get up close and personal inside this plexiglass box. It takes some jaw-dropping maneuvering. Finally, Daniel and Otko manage to compress themselves into the cramped and tiny space.
We're trying to take both our personalities and abilities and stick them in this one little container. It was like a problem to be solved. It's like a little puzzle. Dreams can come true. Reality is malleable, and you can form it into your own heart's desires.
Still ahead, these guys are tearing it up on 2 wheels, and they're all blind. How they're getting a second chance at seeing. Plus, stunning new images of the human body sliced in 2,000 pieces. And Tanya Streeter attempts a breathtaking dive. Can she survive swimming through this treacherous shipwreck on just 1 breath of air? It's all coming up on Ripley's Believe It or Not. Amazing stories and unbelievable people. Ripley's Believe It or Not. You're looking at some of the most stunning images in modern medicine, pictures that reveal the most intimate secrets of the human body. For years, scientists strive for new ways to examine the body from every angle. But all the bodies donated to medical research had been damaged by trauma or disease. All that changed when convicted murderer Paul Jernigan willed his body to science. Following his execution in Texas, Jernigan was frozen and flown to the University of Colorado. His body was then sliced into nearly 2,000 slivers, each less than a millimeter thick. They were then scanned into a computer database for three-dimensional modeling. This is the final result, a stunning head-to-toe scan scientists call a melt-through. Images of Jernigan's body, dubbed the Visible Man, promise to open countless possibilities for medical advancements. One person who heard of the remarkable breakthrough was even moved to donate the body of his wife to research. Now, doctors are also able to study the Visible Woman. Believe it or not.
In Argentina's cattle country, it is said that the gauchos, or cowboys, treat their horses like members of the family. For example, their horse eats before they do. Well, there's a family right here in America that feels so close to their horse, it lives with them, inside their house.
Mark and Jackie Tressel live a pleasant life in the country. They own a log cabin on 320 acres in New Concord, Ohio. But unlike other families, this couple shares their home with a 1,300-pound horse named Misha. The Tressels adopted Misha in 1986 when she was 4 months old and in very poor health. They spent a fortune on medical bills, but didn't think she would survive the bitter cold winter. They didn't have a barn, so they squeezed Misha inside their 900-square-foot home.
As the weather got cold, the only thing we could think to do was to bring her in by the wood stove and warm her up, or she probably would have died. So we brought her in, and the rest is history.
Jackie has a degree in nursing and used her skills to nurture Misha back to health. In fact, the foal gained so much weight, she literally brought the house down by causing the floor to collapse. Mark had to replace the wood floor with thicker boards and heavy-duty beams. After 6 months, Jackie and Mark decided the horse was well enough to be moved outside. But Misha wouldn't stand for it. She stomped at the front door of the house until they let her back in.
We've gotten used to her and she's grown up with us, so it's normal for us.
Every other day I ride her because I think riding is the key to keeping her in the house. The horses have a lot of energy, and then every time I ride her, she gets a really, really long hot bath, and then she goes in the house and she gets a big bowl of hot oatmeal with brown sugar.
Misha is also completely housebroken and lets Mark and Jackie know when she has to go out.
Good. That's easier than training the puppy.
There's no doubt about Misha's commitment to cleanliness. She even helps Mark wash those hard-to-reach places. Misha doesn't just live with the Tressels. She goes everywhere with them. The local folks have gotten used to it and hardly notice. And it's no surprise Misha eats like a horse. Besides grazing on hay, about 2/3 of what she eats is people food.
She loves mashed potatoes, she loves granola, she loves pasta, she loves donuts, she loves cookies. She's a wonderful eater. Misha, get out of the trainer.
Despite the unusual diet, vets give Misha a clean bill of health. In fact, every evening, the Tressels and Misha sit down for a traditional family dinner.
Nice and slow.
After a hearty meal and a quick wash-up, there's nothing like laying back and enjoying a little television together before bed. Misha sleeps on the front porch, curled up in blankets under the Tressels' kitchen window.
The only thing that's negative about Misha living in the house, and it's not a big negative except for I have to vacuum every day. But you either live like a slob or you vacuum, so I vacuum.
We're going to have 40 years with this horse. It will truly be a very, very long and close relationship.
Blind as a bat. You ever heard that expression? Well, like a lot of cliches, it doesn't mean a whole lot because bats are not actually blind. But they do have the bonus of sonar for navigating in pitch-black caves. And one amazing young man has proven that what works for a bat will also work for humans.
You wouldn't know it from watching these rambunctious bike riders, but Dan Kish, Juan Ruiz, and Brian Bushway are completely blind. And believe it or not, the blind are literally leading the blind to live life in a whole new way.
I've been echolocating for as long as I can remember.
Echolocating. It's a type of natural sonar which bats, dolphins, and other animals with poor vision use to navigate through their surroundings. But Dan Kish, who lost his sight before he was a year old, has developed his own sonar technique to sense the world around him. Dan's human version of echolocation relies on the clicking of his tongue to produce a consistent sound.
Echolocation is essentially seeing with sound, and that sound source goes out and bounces off of objects in the environment and returns to the listener.
Dan then interprets the sound to determine the size, shape, and distance of objects around him.
Echolocation in humans is really very similar to echolocation in the animal kingdom. The principal difference is that most animals have developed chirps or clicks.
For some situations, a special clicking device is used. But if the fact that Dan can echolocate isn't amazing enough, this self-taught innovator is now teaching others to do it.
Just a few hours of instruction will find any individual accomplishing very functional tasks more effectively.
To demonstrate Dan's success with echolocation, Ripley's observed two of his pupils in action.
You can start immediately with description. Anything that you describe or pick up, let us know what it is.
Brian Bushway lost his eyesight due to a genetic defect. But using Dan's technique, Brian can find his way around in a matter of moments.
The wall opened up. There's a walkway out this way.
Next, Brian describes in detail a location he's never been to before.
Break it down. Is it tall or short?
Tall.
Okay. Is it broad? Is it wide, or is it fairly narrow?
It's wide.
Okay.
Pretty
so
lengthy.
That would make it likely to be a
building.
Okay.
But it seems like there's covering sort of more on the building. Or like a bush, tall hedge or bush real close up to the wall.
All right. You got it. You're right.
Brian is even able to precisely identify an automobile.
Oh, it's a car.
Well, why don't you go
and detect things other sightless people would probably miss.
Right there, like a little tree in the planter, and then opening here. Okay, there's something right here on the left. Maybe a sign of some type.
The tongue click is just utilized just to sort of focus in on an object. You could walk and you can talk, and you still echolocating.
Now we'll see if echolocation works for Dan's other student, Juan Ruiz. Juan has been blind his whole life, but with echolocation, he'll try to make his way through a mall he's never been to.
He has to look for a Radio Shack that he happens to know is here, and he's got to buy some batteries. You're on your own. As far as we're concerned, he got off a bus.
Woo!
And has never been here before.
Okay, let's do this. I hear a building in front of me.
After negotiating a busy parking lot, Juan strolls along storefronts until he finds the right store.
Okay, this smells like a Radio Shack. I hear a couple of phones and I hear TVs and radios. Hello. Hello. Would you happen to have any AA batteries? Sure do.
Juan passes the test easily. In fact, he and Brian have become so good at echolocation, they regularly join Dan on his dirt bike ride.
To my knowledge, there are no laws that would prohibit a blind individual from riding a bicycle.
Dan, Brian, and Juan have become experts at overcoming obstacles. And all are confident in the promises echolocation holds for the future.
Natural way to live, a natural way to travel, a natural way to function.
You realize that your potential is just endless, and you can just push it to its limits.
An ancient Egyptian's treatment for blindness was to take a pig's eye, mix it with honey and red dye, and then pour it into the blind person's ear. Makes you glad to live in the 21st century, doesn't it?
Next, this Caribbean diving queen will attempt to navigate an underwater maze 100 feet below the surface without any oxygen on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
World-class diver Tanya Streeter likes a challenge. Her latest, swim through an underwater maze inside a sunken ship. The challenge, do it while holding her breath. No oxygen. Before these divers plunge deep into the guts of this shipwreck, they anxiously check and double-check their life-saving oxygen tanks. But one diver calmly gets in the water with no equipment at all. This unbelievable woman will navigate an underwater maze 100 feet deep for 2 minutes on just one breath of air. Tanya Streeter was practically born with a snorkel in her mouth. She was raised in the Cayman Islands after her parents moved there in 1966. Her mother, Sandra, remembers a very daring daughter.
She was always in the water. She had a mask and snorkel on her face at a very young age, probably 3 or 4 years old. It was no time at all before she was diving down.
As a little girl, Tanya would push herself to see how long she could hold her breath.
I've always been in, on, under, near the water my whole life. I was always something of an extreme snorkeler in that I would dive a little deeper than the other kids.
During her first dive class, the instructor was dumbfounded by Tanya's unnatural ability.
Basically, my trainer and I met at a freediving clinic that was held in Grand Cayman, and that's when somebody pointed out to me that what I was doing was unique and was deep and was a challenge for most people.
Tanya decided to make freediving her career and became a spokesperson for the marine environment.
I was social secretary to the governor of the Cayman Islands for 3 years, and during that 3-year period I started to freedive and set my first 3 world records, and then I stopped working about a year ago to focus solely on freediving.
Today, Tanya's focus is a World War II-era warship that sits quietly on the ocean floor. Tanya has never attempted this swim-through before. She will use her dolphin-like abilities to maneuver through its unexplored chambers and return to the surface, out of breath, but alive. Weeks before the dive, Tanya mentally and physically prepares. She puts in hours of sweating on land for each second that she'll spend below the surface.
I'm a very trained athlete. I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of, and when I approach my limits, I will be the first one to say I'm at my limit.
Over the next hour, Tanya begins a series of test dives to become familiar with her surroundings. Each time she ventures just a little bit further into the ship's skeleton. Tanya must attempt her dive before nightfall. Aside from being mistaken for dinner by a hungry predator, there are schools of jellyfish here that feed after dark. Their sting is comparable to a swarm of bees. The allergic reaction to their poison would send Tanya into shock and land her in intensive care. Tanya is now ready. What was once a little girl's carefree pastime is about to be tested with the life of a woman. Tanya has made it less than halfway by the time she reaches the ship's deck. This is the only opportunity she will have to turn back. After entering the ship's carcass, Tanya must find her way through a maze of different cabins and compartments. If she panics, becomes disoriented, or is snagged by the wreckage, the consequences could be lethal. After discovering an opening, she squirms to freedom. But Tanya's air supply is running out. Her dive boat is within sight, but there's one final obstacle between Tanya and success.
Well, the greatest risk to a freediver is shallow water blackout, and it is a very real threat.
Over 2 minutes submerged, 100 feet, a half dozen cabins, and only one breath of air, Tanya Streeter emerges from the water.
A great big part of freediving is descending to look within yourself and to understand what your own abilities and limitations are. It's a very personal feeling when you're underwater.
We'll be right back.
Next, this car once chauffeured an infamous assassin. Who was it? Find out when we take a cruise through the Ripley Vault. Next. You're watching Ripley's Believe It or Not.
This is a 1954 Chevy. It drove the world into mourning in November of 1963. It belonged to a guy named Buell Frazier. Every morning, Buell used to drive his neighbor to work. Well, one day, this neighbor asked Buell to help him with an errand and pick up some wrapped curtain rods. The next morning, Buell drove his friend and his package to work, as usual. The destination, the Texas School Book Depository. Buell's neighbor, Lee Harvey Oswald. And the so-called curtain rods were, in fact, Oswald's rifle. The rest is history. After the assassination, Buell was so devastated, he wanted to rid himself of the car. So he sold it to a friend for just $10. Unbelievable? Believe it.